Hey, I'm Decathlon Gamer. Welcome back to F1 Manager 23. It's episode 58. Driver development update for the turn of the month. Jack Crawford, +1 to cornering and +1 to accuracy. Meanwhile, Sophia Flores has had tremendous month with 3 points gained in the right areas, +2 to cornering. Her biggest weakness has been addressed along with reactions. So the two things that are her lowest, two things that are impacting her lap time, and she gains 3 points overall in those areas. It's going to make her that little bit faster. That's a big boost. Meanwhile, Tanaka, I'm getting concerned because this is, I think, second month in a row that Tanaka is only gaining 3 points. We need to check her profile here in a moment to see if she is no longer on a high rate of development or we've just had some bad luck last couple of months. It is +1 to cornering, smoothness, and reactions, 3 areas that all need it desperately. So for that, it's good. With braking and control being pretty decent, it's that cornering that most of all that really needs it, and then the smoothness to be able to actually run a race. The accuracy piece is another one that is concerning. But with braking up to a 71, she's got the ability to get some lap time out there. Control's high enough. And there you go. There's confirmation. Her development rate is down to average. So Tanaka has already fallen into average, even though she is just a 58 overall. That's a problem. That is a big problem because Florsch has fallen into average, but she's only done it recently. She was, I don't know, maybe a 67, 68 overall when she ticked off into average. That means Tanaka has a pretty low ceiling, and I think we're going to have to be checking out one of our other pool drivers here fairly soon. We already know we have somebody on a not too distant level compared to Tanaka. For the moment, Betty Valbush is a 57. She's not getting the development boost that Tanaka is. I think they were both at a 56 not long ago. But what about no, her development rate is average. Okay, well, looks like we're going to have a problem. Looks like we're going to have a big problem. Bianchi's a 54 with a high development rate. That might be one to keep more of an eye on for her. She has decent braking already, but the cornering reactions are awful. There is no lap time in there. She already has the smoothness and control, the accuracy, just about enough to handle it, where some lower numbers here, I think, hurts us less. She has the aggression to be able to overtake when the time comes. It's lap pace, and she's got 1 out of 3, but the reactions are so bad. And we've already learned that the slowest thing to try to develop on these cars is acceleration. For whatever reason, it's not balanced in the way other things are balanced. And if you're starting from the back of the grid on acceleration in the first place, you're never going to get to the front of the grid on acceleration, no matter how well you develop the car. You can get into the midfield, but it seems impossible to reach the front of the grid on acceleration. Therefore, somebody with poor reactions in that car are never going to do exceedingly well. And that's a worrying sign for really our trio of drivers that have the best potential. Bernadette Brunn, high development rate, though only a 52. Again, lower on the reactions, but much better. Much better here in general pace. Could be an important factor. We may yet be needing to look at other drivers sooner rather than later to bring into the team. The smoothness, the accuracy, the control is going to be a problem. She's going to have a lot of DNFs, but if she can finish ahead of Florsch because she has better lap time than Florsch, then that's already contributing something. If we have a car good enough, we might not be able, overtaking and defending, right? She might only finish 1 out of 4 races, but if she finishes in the points in that 1 out of 4 races, that's already setting us up for more success than what we're getting out of Florsch, who's had 1 points finish, period. 3 DNFs in a row is going to be costly, though. It's going to be expensive, as the car's going to have obvious damage in a race-by-race basis, and there's going to be a lot of new engines and whatnot, which I suppose new engines means better pace, but if low aggression, but can overtake and has okayish reactions. Bernadette Brunn might be moving up our list here quite a bit at the moment. We'll have to keep an eye on her development. Hoffman also has high development rate. 2 out of 3 pace. It's the braking, it's corner entry. That's a problem, but we have really good aero. And the brake cooling's okay. Work on the brake cooling a little bit. That's somebody who could provide you decent pace. A little more accuracy. Again, sacrificing points and adaptability. And at least does have average aggression, which means they're not going to make quite as many mistakes. And that's decent lap time. Yeah, definitely something to watch out for. Keller is a little bit further down, but does have the high development rate, does have good cornering, but overall that's not going to be good lap time. Definitely not good on the accuracy side either, but can overtake, can go forward. The last female in the pool, high development rate, 47 currently overall. Not good lap time. So that's definitely one we don't need to worry about Michelle as a threat to get a seat. But Tanaka is suddenly a concern. And so we are going to be looking at other options. It seems like there's one or two that might be able to put in better lap time, but are going to have some weaknesses. What we've learned and in this experiment of nerfing things by getting away from Logan Sargent, what we learned from Gotha is that not all attributes are created equal, and that a 76 overall rating doesn't mean the same thing as a 76 overall rating for somebody else, depending on the car and depending on the breakdown of attributes and the combination of attributes. Gotha had pace. Gotha could not overtake for the life of him. Jack Crawford, who's barely better, has done significantly better. And it's not because he's 3 points better. And back to Florsch for a second. Her pace, some of those F3 drivers already have very similar numbers to this overall collection. What they don't have is the additional ones, the control and the smoothness. And I hate that her adaptability is so high, because that's a waste of an average. This is where I'm saying not all points are created equal. Adaptability is adapting to changing variable conditions. It's not even just running in the wet. If it was that, it would be more meaningful. But even then, we went almost 2 years without a wet race. We finally have had a couple of late, but it's the varying conditions. It's the transition. It's a couple laps. On average, over the last few years, we're talking about maybe 2 laps a season. Per season, 2 laps, where the adaptability trait is used. I'd take a 1 there and redistribute the other 84 points gladly, even if they were divided equally amongst everything else. That would be massive gains in other places. Now, obviously, there's not going to be a 1 in any attribute. We're not seeing anything below a 50. Okay, make it a 50. Take those 35 points, redistribute them elsewhere. And we're talking about 8 other attributes. Those extra points would make her so much better across the board. And oh no, 2 laps a year, she loses 3 seconds a lap. She lost 6 seconds in 2 laps in 1 race. So what? I will easily, gratefully give up those 6 seconds in that 1 race to gain 6 seconds every race. And, oh, right, that race where she lost that 6 seconds, she gained 6 seconds in that one too to offset it, because she had better pace. that adaptability is just a horrible, horrible attribute, and it sucks the life out of a rating. Yes, she's a 70 overall, but with that one so much higher than everything else, other than controls in a similar place, and it's good to have that there. There's flaws, there's issues here. She doesn't make many mistakes, and that's good. It does save us money, and that's helped us build up the infrastructure we need. But she doesn't have much pace. She never has. All this time, all this development from 50-something, 56, was it when we brought her on? 54? She was Tanaka territory. But all this time, all that development, say plus 15-ish overall. That would be plus 15 across the board at every one. She's thrown a ton of points into adaptability, more than other places. And so it doesn't show up as much. And her pace has always been slow to get points. That's why this month is huge. Plus 3 directly into pace makes her 1% better. That's it. 1% better on pace because it's out of 100. But really, it's 50 to 100. So it's 2% better. She's going to be a little bit faster now. But those points just haven't come regularly enough. And that's why Florsch still struggles towards the back, even though we've given her a car capable of doing more. She's capable of not making mistakes. She's capable of handling the transitioning conditions. She's capable of holding cars off decently behind her, except that she just doesn't have pace. So they're so much faster than her that even then it doesn't make her that capable of holding them off. She's okay going forward if she had the pace to go forward. She just doesn't generally have that pace. If we can keep her rising through this area, if we can get those to 70s, she can be a contender in many ways with the car. Because the other attributes are there. It's just, I'm wondering, right? Even though they're significantly behind, they're going to be 15 points behind. I wouldn't be surprised if a good signing of a young driver who has some pace already might be able to perform at a similar level to Florsch almost right away because of the pace. The other areas will be problematic. Extra pit stops that set them further back. Lack of control that's going to see more incidents. But if they have the development, they could catch up. They can fly by her real fast, even without the flashiness of a 70. Crawford hasn't had a perfect start by any stretch, but some of the things that have happened have not been his fault. But just looking at him for comparison, braking's not very good, but he overall has a far, far better pace, and it shows. He also has decent control, and it shows. He also has his second weakest attribute overall, is that adaptability throwaway. He can overtake, and we've seen him go pretty quickly through the field. He's been competitive. He's been running top fives. It'll come together, I think, pretty easily with him. He also doesn't even have, affinity yet at this point with his race engineer. So I still think that Jack Crawford can be a pretty decent driver for us this season and help us move up the grid and certainly out of last place and then some.
Welcome and come on in to the home of British motor racing. It's Silverstone, where the Formula One World Championship began back in 1950. And this historic high-speed track remains a challenge for our drivers' courage and determination to this very day. Silverstone demands a lot of power from cars with numerous twists and historic turns. Downforce is going to be a key factor to manage if teams want to succeed here. The British Grand Prix is nearly upon us, the drivers composing themselves on the grid ahead of 52 laps around Silverstone. And there's always a sense of excitement when it comes to talking about Max Verstappen.
It's a second row start there in P4. The trick will be not to slip backwards because there are plenty looking to capitalize.
Here we go. It's time to go racing. Hold on tight. It's the British Grand Prix. And it's lights out, and away we go.
And we're racing at Silverstone. Crawford, good start position of P7, and Florsch, a good start position of P16. Nice to see both cars performing fairly well in qualifying. Now, in terms of strategy today, well, the options were really twofold. There was two strategies that really stood out as the stronger options. A two-stopper with a soft, medium, soft, or a one-stopper with a medium, hard. And the difference between the two, just a single second. The difference between the two-stopper, 1 second faster than the one-stopper. However, that does not mean that it's a better strategy, because there absolutely will be traffic. So when you start throwing in traffic into that mix, it complicates it. I don't think the gains would necessarily be there. So we're going to go for the one-stopper today. Can you keep up with the pace, though? Can't keep up with Verstappen right now. That's going to make Crawford vulnerable, but he sits 6th. If Leclerc gets around, we can probably more easily follow Leclerc than Verstappen, as Red Bull today looks to be the quicker team, with Sainz out front and Verstappen P5, where Russell and Leclerc are 4 and 7, a little bit further down. Norris Pourchaire also up there competing, but this looks like the kind of day where Crawford can score points. If there's enough DNFs out there, can Florsch get herself into the points today? Are there going to be cars that go on the two-stop strategy that run into complications with traffic? And right at the end of lap 2, just at the start of lap 3, we are on that battery empty and settle in for the race to come. Well, we didn't underfuel by much, just 1 lap, though that's still 2.3 kilograms. I think Crawford's going to be a sitting duck here soon, but hopefully he can hang on to P7. Pourchaire. Why the Aston Martin? We overtake the Aston Martin.
And the Williams goes past.
Okay, that's just the overtake. That's not the incident.
Now
But here's the crash. Is this still Pourchaire? This is like the next corner.
It's all at the final corner. You can see
just a touch, but Pourchaire doesn't tuck in with the overtake complete. Short race though, just 52 laps overall. It goes by very, very quick. We've closed up on Russell quite a bit, just 1.2 behind him now, and held off Pourchaire and co. Behind. Albon starting to fall off in a P10, so it's still pretty close together at the top, and we've caught, and for a moment there, overtook Russell. And we've got just about 40 laps, so at this rate, we're looking like the fuel's going to be okay, or just about okay, right at the end of the race. But Crawford all the way up to P4, haven't gotten around Russell. Russell gets back around him, but we've caught one of those guys ahead of us, so really showing good pace here. Lock up from Florsch. Albon has pit. Albon the first to pit. Soft compound. Yeah, that's one of our 2 soft compound cars. Piastri and Albon have both already pit. That means Verstappen and Gasly should pit soon. Verstappen made his way forward from P5 to P2. So he did go forward on the softs. He did gain something out of that. But now he's going to come out in P12? P13? Verstappen. Yeah, comes out in P13 on a second set of softs, used softs at 87%. For now, Verstappen, the only one threatening to do a decent job under the circumstances. He's already gained a second and a half, so he is pretty quick at the moment compared to everybody else. But Crawford's all the way up to P3 at the moment, 7 seconds. Sainz pulling away a little bit. Sainz looking comfortable. And at this point, I would say probably the favorite. Verstappen's going to have a lot to do to be threatening in that way as Russell goes by Crawford, but we're still side by side for now. Verstappen sets the fastest lap. No surprise by that. But again, already down to 18.5. He is gaining time rapidly for now. But again, without those softs being at 100%, he just does not have a significant advantage. Florsch up to P14 with the other activity out there. Albon on fresh and Gasly on fresh have both gotten back around, so she's down to 14 as others are already pitting. Crawford's not doing great on the tires. We got a few laps to go, but Florsch, I think Florsch is going to end up having to pit at least one lap early. And at this point, I'm not sure she's going to make... She's certainly not going to make 4 laps. We might have to go in about 2 laps to pit. Florsch off the pace, below 30%, but I'm going to give her 1 additional lap just to help and make sure those hards do make it to the end of the race. So riding on board with Florsch as she tries to navigate this lap while at 27%. Let's push on from here, though, to try to finish the lap. At the moment, Sainz is pitting, Tsunoda is pitting, Crawford was down to P5. Verstappen has already come through the field, back up to P... Wow. Okay, Verstappen has definitely made some forward progress, surprisingly. Has already covered the pit stop gap. Florsch makes her stop. Fairly slow one for our team, 2.6. That brings her out in last place for now, but you'll see 4 cars just ahead of her. All will have to stop again. And we're looking at, 6 other cars that are on the good to go till the end of the race situation. We don't want to overheat her, so we'll only push for a short while here till we settle in. Let her come up to temperature a little bit on the natural side. There we go. Okay. So not bad for Crawford here. We're at 29% and will pit this lap. Okay, I think that's good enough for Florsch. So Florsch has a lot to do from last place, and we're looking at only a small subset of the field that is going to go the distance. There's going to be a lot of cars making additional pit stops, but as we've already seen with Verstappen, it looks like that pace... I do find it rather amazing that Verstappen already caught and overtook us. He had that much of a pace advantage on those softs, even though they were used. 2.696, even slower than Florsch's. Not a great day for our pit crew, but no mistakes as... Right. Leclerc just phased right through us as he battled with Ocon. We were ahead of both of them. Now, Ocon was in a strong enough position to be able to make an overtake, but Leclerc would have had no choice but to tuck in behind Ocon. Would have been side by side with us probably, but in slowing up, that would not have been an inevitable overtake. And instead, Crawford's down in P11 as he's been undercut by a number of cars. I think we're already good enough on the temperature to just settle in early to help these hards make it the distance. And that's Stroll going around, but he's on beat up softs and we'll have to pit fairly soon. I think he'll be an easier car to keep up with here momentarily as we sit in P12. But you're looking at 4 guys ahead of us that definitely need to pit. Bottas at 82%. Like, that looks like he's gonna have a struggle to make it to the end on these hards and may end up having to pit again and come out on use softs late. And there's no way he would hold us off unless he's got a significant gap, which I'm guessing he does not. We're looking at 8 seconds to Bottas. Weird that they're that far ahead of us, but there's plenty of traffic just right there. Leclerc leading a group from 8th to 12th that we're at the back end of. We've got a healthy gap behind us, and we are right there on their tail end. Crawford spins out really bad too. Multiple rotations, did about a 720 there, and now waiting for cars to go by as we drop in even further back and slowly, still waiting. Oh my gosh. At 18th, completely out of zone, no push, brand new hard compound that we're already up to temperature. He's going to go forward up to P17, but this is looking to be a bit of a disaster of a day. He's got 10 seconds to go to catch the next guys ahead of him. What a waste. This was easily looking like a day in the points. He was 12th. We had 4 guys ahead. We were not going to overtake Verstappen, but he should have been up 3 positions at least. So at the least, he should have been 9th. He had more pace. He was catching up to those guys ahead of him. They were guys that he was ahead of and pulling away from before they undercut him. He easily could have gone forward. So we were looking at worst case scenario P9. We were looking more likely at a P8 or a P7. We were, directly behind Ocon, were we not? Or Stroll. So yeah, there's your P9. There's the group we were with. And I bet you anything we could have pushed to overtake Stroll, Ocon, and Bottas. Maybe not catch back up to Leclerc. But I think we absolutely would have been primed for a P6 today. Another day of it not to be. And we're only beating Haas today. Nobody else as a constructor, so it's another P9. Maloney would have been the next one, and Albon the one after that. That would have bumped us ahead of a couple more teams, but here we are. Sainz won from Verstappen, by the way, and Verstappen leads the driver championship right now with Leclerc and Norris. Now Sainz in 4th, and Crawford and his 5 points are just 17th. No change in the constructors as we remain last place, though Ferrari jumps Mercedes for 2nd place. Slow stops today, only P7 and P10 in the pit stop battles. Very slow, really. I mean, we've been getting 2-2s of late. We easily could have been 1-2 today, or, in and amongst Red Bull and the McLaren there. Bad day across the board, and no real reason for it. And it was such a clean race, such an easy race from all the other teams. It was. Now this impacts other teams as well in the same manner it would impact us, but I'm all for this change. We have a sporting regulation vote of upping the gearbox limit from 4 to 5, the ERS from 2 to 3, and that's a huge one. It's so expensive, and 2 will never make it through a season. We're well into our 2nd already at the midway point of it can often go to 4. You might be able to squeak out 3. Engine limit up to 4 as well. That makes a huge difference. And with 6 teams voting in favor of it, we seem to be part of the tie-break / majority. And it's going to happen, finally. After all of these seasons, this seemed like one of the first changes that needed to happen. And it's taken this long to get it as an option. I'm glad it was voted in favor of. I've been looking forward to this change long time. Meanwhile, those finances that we brought right down to the edge, right down to the limit, are now back in good condition at $12.6 million. Definitely not in the territory to do any facility upgrades, but if I have any refurbishments to do, yes, we do, hospitality area, refurbish. That one actually needs an upgrade, and it's a small upgrade. $4 million's pretty cheap. Let's go ahead and take care of that. And hospitality area, for whatever reason, still has 2 to go. But team attractiveness, I mean, it's not a big deal. It's not something we're looking at. The staff we're going after, but let's go ahead and take that upgrade anyway. And then the weather center, not as cheap.
There's a fantastic atmosphere at the Hungaro Ring as we prepare for 70 laps of the Hungarian Grand Prix. And as the cameras turn to the Williams driver, you have to wonder what they can manage here.
They line up for their 50th F1 start here today. Can they get a decent result, I wonder?
And it'll be exciting to see just what will happen here today. This is it, the Hungarian Grand Prix. And it's lights out, and away we go.
They showed Crawford, as they said, 50th start, clearly not his, and Flores feels like that's a bit low. But as we begin this race here at the Hungaro Ring, the go-kart track, aerodynamics are very important here, and we're good in that department. Two-stopper, no matter how you look at it, everyone's going to have a two-stopper here. There is no beating around that bush. Medium to hards will not make it, as with the go-kart track, you burn through tires a lot faster here. Crawford, only a P10 start, only a P13 first lap here. So a bit slow off the line. So she's starting well. And Crawford's, back up to P12. I think we're looking okay here at the start of this race. They said if we can at least maintain these positions that we've gained. For Flourish, though, we're able to go a little more aggressive with her in that we have 2 sets of brand new mediums. Soft, medium, soft just won't cut it here. It's not a strategy that anyone could theoretically, realistically run unless they've got like a 99 on their smoothness, and I don't think anybody has that kind of rating. And if you see somebody try it, they're going to be out front anyway, right? What we have with Flourish is an aggressive strategy of staying off the hards entirely. It looks like everybody else is going to have to run the hards at least one time. This middle stint for her could be pretty quick, as I'd expect a lot of the field to be on the hards for that middle stint. We're going to try and make a medium soft work if she can avoid making any mistakes. There's no room for error on it. Meanwhile, for Crawford, that's more the standard strategy, and it puts you on the hards for a while, and it means that you can push a little bit on the hards, burn through them a little bit faster. Underfueling by 2 laps is a little bit risky. We are 3.2 instead of that traditional kind of 2.5 range, so we do have a little bit of extra fuel that we're going to have to... And it looks like we're going up the inside of Zhou Guanyu as well. No, we tucked back in. Like I said, hard to make overtakes here. But Zhou Guanyu is definitely a car that's going backwards fast, and it has already fallen out of DRS range. So as we come to the start-finish line, let's push on a little bit. Looks like there was at least one car that did opt to pit because we have moved up a spot more than just the spot for getting Verstappen, but no, I don't see any sign of anyone pitting early. If we were on the softs, I would think about it. But that was a lot of fuel recovery, so we're looking good on that part. And as we are green once again, let's go ahead and go aggressive for a moment to get the tires up to temperature. Was the next round of pit stops. A lap later, and a lap after that, a few more. That brings us into a happy spot. Crawford is all the way up in P6. Flourish is all the way up in P9. She is not that far behind at all, though that overall interval, I mean, it is 15 seconds. So she's just ahead of a lot of the pack, where Crawford's in kind of a happy zone, still well ahead of others. As I said, we're going to be faster later. This is going to allow some to undercut us. I would imagine we're going to move down the grid a little bit, but Crawford's P5, Flourish P9, great place to be. But like I said, look at her track position versus Gio at the back. She's not looking that great. Where Crawford's looking like we might come out somewhere around P15, P16. So that's not looking the greatest either in the grand scheme of things. And going to the hards next, but Flourish going to the mediums. We're looking at what, lap 26 and lap 26. So both pitting at the same time. There is enough of a gap to double stack. We're fine there. As Crawford gets around Gasly without the use of a VSC. Magnussen picks up a penalty on that one. Crawford into P1 for the moment with others and their pit stops and the longevity of us staying out here. This is cars on mediums already pitting, and you see how much of the field is out on the hard compound. This is where Flourish is going to actually have an advantage for a change, but Crawford on that standard strategy that others are following and pitting a little bit later means we are going to get undercut. But like I said, we will be at a better position on the final stint. We'll also push for her in lap, especially at 33%. She's got that little more way. Crawford falling off pretty fast, even though we're still at 31. Well behind Pourchaire. And that is not brand new hards. Flourish will come out in P18. That much is clear. For Crawford, it looks like we're going to be in that 15-16 range. Already well-used hards. They weren't bad. 2.547. Not a great stop, though. Better than what we got last race with double 2.6s. 2.449. Bit of a backwards march, but again, we're really trying to set up the final stint. If we can move forward at least a little bit, get around Piastri, if we can get around Zhou Guan Yu, and get up around Bottas again, I think we're looking better at Bottas. I expect to get around Albon and be able to move forward. If we can get back into that space around, that would be Bottas already ahead to P10. If we can get up to P11 on this stint and close to those cars ahead, I like our chances of definitely scoring some points today. Will pushing the tires be enough alone, double zone, and it's certainly going to be. So that's up one position, P13. Florsch, meanwhile, she's got a lot of ground to cover, but she is on those mediums that we're still pushing. Oh, my bad. We have now caught up to Albon. We got 2 Alfa Romeos ahead of us. We're all over the back of them, but I'm going to wait till the end of the lap to make some sort of push here. You've got that double DRS zone. So easy to make overtakes there where you can't in other places. And we do seem to have enough of a pace advantage to make that happen by simply pushing on the tires. So going aggressive now. Let's ride on board this time. Do we have enough of a pace advantage? DRS? Yes, especially when Albon doesn't have it. We already make the overtake. We're going to get DRS again. It's going to help us close right up on Zhou Guan Yu. And next lap, I think we'll be making our push, and that'll bring us back up to P11 if we get that one done quickly enough, get us into clean air, and try to catch up to Russell. Bottas has already got around him, so so far our strategy is working out in the way that it was planned, because we're going to be quicker at the end of the race than others. Let's go aggressive. Here we go. Can we make it happen? Go to the inside. We got the DRS. I think we kind of came out a little bit early there, but we just get up the inside, double DRS, and that's going to allow us to pull away. 2 laps later, we are all over the back of Russell as we come up on the end of the lap here, and he is more than 1 second behind Bottas on the hards. Should be a sitting duck, and is. We go around the outside this time, but with that double DRS, we push on, we make the overtake. We are into the points in P10 and already catching up to Stroll, who Bottas just got around here at the same time that we got around Russell. So both continuing our march forward, and Bottas is somebody that we were a good ways behind, had a significant advantage, but we've made our way through the traffic a little bit faster than he has, and we've definitely closed that gap up to him as we're coming up on the end of another lap here, and already more than a second behind. Stroll should be a sitting duck. We're going to go to the outside. He's on mediums, beat up, used mediums, and we're not fresh anymore. We're at 77%, but we still have enough of a pace advantage that we are already within 1 second on Bottas and P9 quite well. Florsch is slowly gaining on those ahead of her, but she just does not have enough of a pace bonus. 70% on those mediums, definitely burning through them faster than we are on the hards with Crawford, even though we are doing some push here. Bottas more than a second ahead, but we're also more than a second ahead of Stroll. So Bottas has opened up a little bit of a gap. We'll run normal for a lap or two. He's catching up now to Leclerc and Sargent. Whoa, Sargent way up the grid. What's going on there? 61% hards. Leclerc is going backwards on those now really beat up mediums. That's why Stroll was such an easy overtake there. All right, we have caught Sargent. Bottas has gone by and pulled away already, more than 2 seconds ahead, and back up on Crawford. This should be an overtake here, one would think. Yes, we got enough to get up the inside, and we will be able to get by and pull away. P6 now as Tsunoda, Stroll both pit. We've definitely made a forward march here on these hards, which is impressive. It is impressive. We are 5/10 ahead of Sargent. We want to keep pushing and try to get him out of DRS range before we then cool things off and run normally for a while. Along with the Alfa Romeo. Tsunoda going up the inside of the Alfa Romeo. Looks like he kind of squeezed him a bit there. There is no curb to get up on. The curb is a proper curb, like a curb you would be used to on your roadside. It's rounded off. It's not squared off, but it's a proper curb. It's not the kind of curbs you can drive on. And so Tsunoda had nowhere to go there, and he very much was side by side. So the Alfa Romeo needed to give him space there. No idea what's going to happen in terms of the penalty, but the reality should be that the Alfa Romeo is responsible on that one. But Tsunoda gets the penalty. And for now, we're now 5 seconds ahead of Sargent, so we've very much pulled away from him. We've also closed up on Ocon, who Bottas has already gotten around, so Bottas had reopened that gap. And all those advantages that those cars had, all those undercuts, have now turned back around on their head, and we are in a very strong position here. But there's going to be, another pit stop for us and changes to come. This lap brought us up on Ocon. Next lap, we're going to look to make the push to get past. Meanwhile, Flourish was re-overtaken by Albon, as Zhou Guanyu is coming up on her pretty quick. Magnussen's going to be an easy win for her today, but it looks like that might be about it, unless others have collisions, and there certainly have been a fair few today. He's in a Mercedes these days. Definitely good to go the distance, and we'll have a little advantage over us for the next little bit, as we still have a handful of laps to go. But if we can get ahead of Bottas, if we can pull away, see, we only have that slender advantage over Bottas. He's a difficult overtake. I think we are going to need to cool down those. We're going to start to overheat here. Flourish down pit road. Final stop of the day for her onto the softs. 2.591. Okay stop. I really like to get us down into the 2.4s to consider it much of anything. She's got to go the distance on this, so we are not going to push for long. Let her get up to temperature for maybe 2/3 of a lap, and then ease off so she can cruise home. But Crawford gets around Bottas. Norris has pit, so Crawford into the race lead. We got around Bottas, so that's already forward progress. He's probably going to be pitting on this lap, give or take. We're already a second ahead of Bottas as we're pulling away and pushing on this lap. Does he go into the pits? No, he's going to continue on. We'll have him undercut. So Bottas, I think we've got covered off. We now have the advantage over Bottas. Into the pits is Sargent 2694. Yikes, that's a slow stop for our pit crew. Not a terrible stop, still an average stop compared to others, but as far as things go, that's pretty slow. But we're not going to be fast. But we've pit and we've come out in P9 now. We know Bottas has yet to pit and is going backwards. Pourchaire's gotten around him, so he's off pace right now. That's one position that we can count on, but what else can we count on here? Norris, Sainz going the distance. Pourchaire will pit again. He's not going the distance there. No way is he going the distance. Make sure we get the overtake just for a moment now, standard. Patient, be patient. Up the outside. P7. He's leaving it a little too late. He'll be able to come forward if he pits this lap, but he's leaving it a little bit too late here. And still does not pit. Big opportunity here. To go forward, but not easiest situation to try to go forward in, as everybody's got DRS and traffic, and we had to get out of it, and then had to get out of it, and then now we're going to overtake Bottas again, who we just overtook like 5 laps ago. But let's push on, try to get around Bottas now, because he's really backing us up here. We're looking at 5 cars that are not going to pit, so this is it. We are in P6. Looks like we have a shot at P4, 10 laps to go. Gap to Sainz and Go might be a little too much, but hey, P4 would be fantastic. P6 would be pretty nice too. And of course, Bottas finally gets out of the freaking way. He pits after we overtake him. So he slows everybody up, and now he's going to come flying through. But how far forward can he go when he's that far down now and left it this late? That's seems like a big missed opportunity by Bottas there. Pit way too late. I mean, we were neck and neck. We had just overtaken him, and now there's 23 seconds between us. And Crawford now all over the back of Leclerc. Not a sitting duck, though. You're going to have DRS, so it's going to be hard to make an overtake. But I think we have enough of an advantage to be able to make that kind of push. And, here we go. Here we go. It looks like we're going to get him before the DRS zone. You continue pushing, and you're going to get Ocon as well. Might be a little late. We're 6/10 behind. We're going to get up on him. Oh, we get up the inside. Yes. P4. half a lap, we overtake both Leclerc and Ocon. Now the key is going to be to push on and get them out of DRS range. So push on. We're already up to a second. We're at 63%, so I don't know how much bonus pace we're going to have to maybe potentially get that back. 5 seconds to Sainz, 6 to Pourchaire. Might be too far back, but not necessarily. Florsch still on the lead lap. Behind her is Norris, the race leader. So she's got a pretty slight, slender advantage to try to hold him off. And once she starts getting blue flag, that's going to be that. And she's way too far behind anybody. So she is very much going to be P18 today. Okay, well, this is good. Pourchaire drops 2 positions without the DRS, and we are now in the prime position to make that P2 happen, right? Stuck behind both was the hardest thing, but now it's only 1 to overtake, and now we'll have the DRS, and we should be able to get P2. Not the place I want to be doing that. Deploy. Push. Now we have to defend. Aggressive. Watching behind. Oh, we're pulling away, but here comes the DRS. Flap open. We're 14 seconds behind Norris, so absolutely not challenging him. But we stay away. This is final lap, folks. This is their last chance right here. This is their last chance right here, and they are not going to get us. They're not challenging us at all. More than a second ahead. Neutral. Don't push. Just get us home. Just get us home. P2, Crawford. P2. What? Alrighty. Oh, the strategy has worked out very well. Wait. Don't jinx it. Half a lap to go. Florsch did not get lapped by her teammate, just by the leader, even though he's in P2. And barely at that. Just through the wide hairpins here. One last wide hairpin. Final turn.
Norris wins it.
Norris wins.
Over the line.
Jack Crawford, second place. That's a race right there, folks. Yes. P2, career best, matching the team's best in this series. Remember, Sargent probably could have won a race, but we eased off. He had a P2. Last season, he had a P2. Just once. And here's Crawford. Here's Crawford. I think we had 3 podiums in all. Maybe 4 for Sargent last season. But Crawford gets his first podium. Huge points for us today. Now, we did not get the fastest lap in the end. We had it for 10 seconds and then lost it. That was our quick lap. I mean, that was easily our fastest lap of the day. We got slower after that point. We were below 60%, so made sense. But we got all the way up to P2. The strategy today was perfect. Strategy today was as good as could be. There was a worrying moment where we were all the way down in about P15 after that first pit stop, but we were able to make our way forward on the hards, and we were able to make our way forward on the softs, out strategizing others, out pushing others at the right time, in the right manner. The combination of reaction and double DRS allowed us to make the overtakes on a track that's otherwise difficult to overtake on, and allowed us to go forward. We started P10, folks. We were P13 on the first lap, and we just finished second. Huge 18 points. We had just 5 in 11 races. 18 points today. Remember, all that mess with Gota, all those times where he qualified top 5 and then could do nothing in the race, just went backwards, race after race after race. Crawford showed the pace of the car, showed the pace behind him at the wheel, and showed his ability to make overtakes. Strong reactions make that big of a difference. We get all the way up to P2. Massive 18 points. We're definitely going to be out of last. Crawford jumps 5 spots to 12th. And in the constructors, not just 1, but 2 positions gained. We are up to P8 and just 2 points behind AlphaTauri, who scored 5 points. But today, by the way, they actually moved up a spot. Alfa Romeo dropped 2 spots from 7th to 9th. That's flipping the season on its head. And at this point, it looks like just a matter of time till we overtake AlphaTauri and put ourselves into a comfortable P7 for the season, right where we need to be. Now it's just that matter of that second seat and what to do with it, how to improve it. Florsch, looks like we could find a second female driver that could compete with her inconsistently, but could compete, could score points, could have better pace than what Florsch has in a short manner of time. It's just finding who. I'm not convinced that it's Tanaka. So we're going to keep a close eye on development of drivers this season. But what a forward gain that was. I'm a Decathlon Gamer. Like, comment, subscribe, and I'll see you next time. Have a good one. Be safe out there. Bye for now.